Hey everybody, Hunter Fisher, Trapper, Trader, Guide, Scout, and Interpreter, and Country Cook Steve Hall here in Nashville, Tennessee, along with pretty Miss Sheila running the camera back there. Hi, Sheila.
Hi.
She does a great job with that camera. We're going to make some cowboy butter. A friend of mine sent me this recipe. He said, man, this is great for dipping steak in and all kinds of goodies. It's just a butter that's got so many neat flavors in it. Come on over here and I'll show it to you, and you can whip it up for your next steak cookout. Before I go any further, I should mention this crock pot that you've seen sitting over to the side. This is full of honey garlic chicken. It'll be done in about another 4 hours. That's another recipe on our channel, so check that out. In here, I've got 2 sticks of butter, or a ½ pound of butter, and it's just now finishing melting. I want to kind of get a head start instead of plunking them in there and have you watch it melt. In here, I'm going to put in a good healthy tablespoon, if not just a little bit more, of horseradish. Now, that's an option that you can change the flavor profile for your recipe. If you want to just use mild horseradish, or if you want to use super hot, it's totally up to you. I'm also going to put in a tablespoon of Dijon Mustard. In the kitchen, I got a steak on the pan, cooked up. I just cooked it up real quick instead of going out to the grill, so I could dip it in this cowboy butter when it gets done. In here I got a 1/4 cup of chopped up red onions. I also got a tablespoon of lemon juice. And now it's time to add our herbs and spices in here that I'm stirring around with my little finger. Let me stir this butter. In fact, let me turn it way down to low, because it's starting to simmer a little too strong for me. I just want to make sure that it gets all mixed up with those onions and mustard and all that stuff, horseradish. In this little dish, I've got a ½ teaspoon of thyme, a ½ teaspoon of parsley, a ½ teaspoon of chives, a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and a teaspoon of paprika. Now that's all going right in there. You're going to like this stuff. Anytime I get a recipe from a friend, I always whip a batch up and use it up before I suggest it on the show. I'm going to turn that burner completely off. Sometimes this little single burner hot plate, it goes like crazy, and other times I can't get it to fry fish. So I should also mention that little cup that I just poured all those herbs and spices in there also had a ½ teaspoon of salt and a ½ teaspoon of pepper in it. Now, here's your last option. Because it does have horseradish, and you might have made it spicy, it does have paprika, and you might have put 2 pinches in. You got to decide whether or not you want to put in hot sauce. Now, I love hot sauce for flavor, not necessarily for heat, so I'm just going to put in about 4 or 5 little drops in there of my little 50-cent hot sauce that I bought at a little shop somewhere on the road. I like to buy that stuff, collect it kind of. And we're going to simmer this for just about, and I'm going to stir it continually on real super low. In fact, I turned the burner completely off. So I'm going to stir this for about another minute. Be right back with you. It's been about a minute. And I know you can't see down into my little cup here, so I brought this little dish so I could pour this in here. And it's just perfect. And there it is. As this cools off, I'm sure it's going to get a little thicker. In fact, I'm going to let it cool and show you what happens to it. So let's let it sit here for just a few minutes. Well, you know, Mr. Impatient me, I had to go get a little bowl with some water and some ice cubes around the outside to cool this little porcelain dish down. And yes, it starts to incorporate better and better. Of course, if you let it sit for a while, you can see that it's coming closer to the top and there's just butter on the top. But as it cools, I'll bet you it just gets just really nice. And what I did is I already drizzled some of it over here. So let me give you a verdict on this stuff. I try not to smack on the air, so I'm not going to do that, but I will give it a taste test. I'll pour a little bit right on this end. But it's good for dipping. And you need to make you some cowboy butter. Sheila won't eat that if it's got pink in the middle like that, but I love it. Let's see here. If you stir that around, Let me give that a taste. Buddy, that is hot stuff. And I don't mean hot, I mean as in hot stuff, good stuff. You got to make you some cowboy butter for a change of pace. It's just something completely different to drizzle on top of your steak, put on some roast beef. Hey, you figure out what you want to do with it. I just wanted to show you how to make it. But anyway, this stuff is really trick. You know, this really reminds me of my Uncle Bob. He never would put steak sauce on a steak. But boy, he was in that butter dish. He'd get a big dollop of butter and put on there and melt on top of his ribeye or whatever. I think he would go for this because it's so much butter based and all them other goodies. I think I could get this by him. Now, hey, if your favorite is A1, I like Heinz 57 steak sauce and a bunch of other stuff, but what a great change of pace. Try some cowboy butter. In fact, we hope you try a lot of our recipes. We hope you subscribe too. You'll see Shotgun Red's little face pop up over here in just a little bit if it hasn't already. That's where you click with your mouse to subscribe, and over here we'll put another recipe. Maybe I'll just put in a playlist, or maybe I'll put in this honey garlic chicken that's in the slow cooker and make that the recipe that pops up. But either way, we hope you enjoy this. And is this the best? I was eating 2 or 3 pieces of steak while Sheila moved the camera back there. Cowboy butter you ever had? If it ain't, it ought to be. This is Steve Hall. We'll see you next time right here on Cooking with Shotgun Red. Sheila, would you like to try a taste of this if I cook this steak to medium?
Yes.
You got a deal. We'll see you next time. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.